I think one of the things that I need to confront with respect to my own behavior is that even though for many years I have believed that this drug war is not just nonsense but harmful financially and psychically and spiritually, it's just an immoral proposition. I should have been saying much more of that, much more strenuously.
You arrest a rapist, the rape stop. You arrest a bank robber, the bank robbery stop. What have you ever seen stop when you arrest a drug dealer or a drug user? Nothing. Nothing changes.
I would say arguably that the war on drugs has caused as much devastation to communities around this country, particularly low-income communities, as the drugs themselves.
Under Prohibition, we have given the right to the criminal of who's going to supply the drugs to the United States, what kind of drugs are going to be supplied, and if they decide they're going to sell to 10-year-old kids on our playgrounds, by God, that's where they'll be sold.
Well, I think that the politicians are so afraid to speak out in any other way because they don't want to appear like they're weak on crime. And I think that we need to take that conversation farther down the road and say, what exactly does that mean? There is crime. There is so much crime because of this drug war.
Drug legalization is not to be construed as an approach to our drug problem. Drug legalization is about our crime and violence problem. Once we legalize drugs, we got to then buckle down and start dealing with our drug problem. And that's not going to be easy, but it's something we can do. 50% of the adult cigarette smokers in this society have quit in the last 10 years. That's an amazing success story when you're talking about the most addictive drug we know of, nicotine. It's an amazing success story. How did we accomplish this wonderful success story? We educated. Really got the word out there to people about how dangerous this substance was.
When I was a police officer in 1966, I used to enjoy kicking indoors and going after, you know, a half a baggie of marijuana or a seed, even for that matter. It was a felony. We were told in the academy that that was a big pinch. It was really important to collect those numbers, and I did it. I did it with zeal. I did it with a lot of vigor. But after about 14 months on the job, having had a principal prosecutor slap me upside the head and question my understanding of the Constitution, I began to understand that the 17 or the 19-year-old kid I had in the backseat of my police car was not a criminal at all.
It's amazing when you get youth groups together, whether it's in our churches or our communities, and how they talk about police abusing them and stopping them and frisking them. And
my father was a New York City policeman, and the police at that point, many years ago, were the people we went to if we were in trouble. Yeah. If we needed directions, if we needed help, we went to the police. And unfortunately, we see that that's not the case.
Let me tell you, I'm convinced that it would be a totally different world if that tension and if that kind of adversarial relationship did not exist between law enforcement and the young people of this country. It would mean that there would be a greater likelihood that, you know, messages that all young people need as a part of what it takes to guide and nurture and encourage and to shape and mold could be heard from people like law enforcement if indeed law enforcement was not thought of as being the enemy.
I think the drug war has been arguably the single most devastating, dysfunctional, harmful social policy since slavery.